Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back. I hope you're having a fantastic start to your Thursday. Welcome back to me, to filming. It's been a little while. I actually just got back into town on Tuesday evening. My husband and I were on vacation in the Thousand Islands in Canada with our daughter. He has been going there his entire life because his family owns some vacation cottages up in the Thousand Islands. And it's such a beautiful place. I just want to give some mad props to my Canadian friends out there. I absolutely love this particular area of Ontario. And if you're Canadian and you've never been, please go. What a beautiful part of your country. And technically it is actually right across the St. Lawrence River divides upstate New York and Canada there. So the section that Craig's parents own property in is the Canadian side. But Craig has gone his entire life and Stella has gone pretty much her entire life. And so this is a super special place for them. I'm not much of a water person myself, but even I had a good time. It's just such a beautiful place to wake up every single morning. And if you've never been, please take the opportunity to look into it. There's just so much to do in that particular area. And honestly, I love Canadians. You guys are the nicest people. Everyone I met there was so laid back and happy and just chill. And I was like, man, this lifestyle, I could definitely get involved in this for sure. So anyway, thank you guys for being supportive while I was gone and putting up with all of the candle reviews that I was pumping out. Honestly, those videos are a little bit easier for me to do because they are behind the camera, and it just makes filming and editing, uploading, all that stuff, it just makes it a little bit easier and faster for me. So yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for being here for those. I hope that those videos were helpful for you in terms of deciding what you want to try from Kringle that is new for fall 2023. Honestly, you guys, there are so many great scents. There's a couple of flops for me for sure. And if you watched the videos, you'll know which ones I didn't super care for myself. But there's some really great scents that came out, and oh man, this was a killer fall release from Kringle, and I'm really proud of them. They did a great job. But we're talking about Bath & Body Works in this video, so let's go ahead and get into Bath & Body Works Spiced Blackberry Cider. So you'll notice that there is an older Bath & Body Works candle sitting next to it, and that is because I had several people very early on when this was released send me messages over on Instagram saying, oh my gosh, the blackberry bramble tea is back. It's this spiced blackberry cider. It's supposed to smell exactly like it. You totally have to try it. And I just got super pumped because, as you may remember from back in the day, I love blackberry bramble tea. Now, blackberry bramble tea is actually a repackage of blueberry pumpkin patch, which you will have probably seen that review yesterday. If you didn't, I will link that in the description box down below. But I see where some of the similarities were kind of coming from, and I'll address those here in a minute. But yeah, I didn't actually have the original blueberry pumpkin patch back in the day. I tend to not be one of those candle fanatics that is good about keeping up with a lot of the history of the different candle companies that I like to purchase from. I know that Bath & Body Works people especially are very, there's some out there. Josh from Touch the Fire Twice, he is my go-to when it comes to needing information about anything Bath & Body Works related. I think this man just has such a lovely way in terms of reviewing candles, but also bringing in his encyclopedic knowledge about when things were released, what the repackages are, specific years, even probably down to the months that things were released. And if you are not subscribed to Josh, you absolutely should be. He's fantastic. But yeah, so I do now know that this is not a repackage of the Blackberry Bramble tea. there are some similarities. So let's go ahead and get into like the typical review format here, where we go through what the fragrance notes are, what I smell, strength, throw, and then we'll talk about the similarities that I do see between the two, because I do understand why people were originally like, oh my gosh, Blackberry Bubble Tea is back. So, all right. So according to the Bath and Body Works website, they say that this smells like a spicy autumn cocktail. I'm not sure that it smells like a cocktail to me per se. It does come across as slightly perfumey, but not, I mean, it doesn't smell like, you know, a bottle of perfume that you would buy at Ulta. It's not like that, but it has some perfuminess to it. The fragrance notes here are mulled blackberries, simmered cider, and a cinnamon stick garnish. I do appreciate how Bath and Body Works has really dialed back the fragrance notes. Like, one of the things that people always tell me about Kringle Candle is that they kind of struggle with the Kringle candles. A lot of times they have to be a blind purchase, right? Because most of them are sold online through their online shop, but there are a few boutiques here and there that carry some Kringle candles, and they certainly carry them in their own store in Massachusetts there. But one of the things that Kringle does is they really go into like super in depth in terms of like everything that they added into the candle to create the fragrance. And a lot of times, a lot of those fragrance notes are just supporting fragrance notes, and you're not necessarily going to smell them. Like, for example, musk a lot of times is used, but it doesn't mean that it's going to come across as like a musky candle. The musk actually sort of elevates or transforms some other fragrance aspect from the candle, and supports it, versus like being, you know, like musk isn't like the standout fragrance note. So I think Bath and Body Works, for that very reason, makes it really hard to, makes it actually a lot easier to purchase a candle online or blindly. Not to mention that they have a ton of stores, but if you are ordering online, it's a little bit easier to figure out like, what does this actually smell like? And I gotta tell you, this description that they have here of the mulled blackberries, the simmered cider, excuse me, and the cinnamon stick garnish are a very like accurate representation of what you're gonna smell here. The blackberry note is really, really lovely. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I really like it a lot, and it does smell slightly mulled, almost like a blackberry wine in a way, but not quite as like intense and boozy as a blackberry wine would smell. But you know, it has that type of vibe to it. The simmered cider, like that, the cider note in here is lovely, you guys. So that cider, just to me, is kind of a blend of like those typical fall spices, like the cinnamon, the nutmeg, the anise, the clove, those types of spices sort of like mixed all together. They smell super lovely in here. And the cinnamon stick garnish, I mean, the cinnamon already is in there for me in terms of like that cider mix. At least the type of cider that I like to make has all of those different fall spices in there. It can probably vary from, you know, like cider to cider, but these are those classic like mulling cider type spices. It's a great scent, you guys. The cinnamon is not super spicy. I don't like a red hot cinnamon type fragrance. Typically when I talk about cinnamon, I always like to clarify whether it is that more red hot cinnamon or whether it's a more like enjoyable like Ceylon, like baking cinnamon. This here is more of like the Ceylon cinnamon. It's softer. It's not super aggressive. So it's fantastic. In terms of strength and throw and the overall burn, so the strength of this one, I would put it about a 6.5. It actually does a lot better for me when I have it in my Chester Hurricane. I've been keeping this one in the entryway in the Hurricane there. And if I have it in the Hurricane, I can bump the strength of this up to almost like a 7. It really does make a big difference with this one. The throw is right around like between a 6 and a 7 as well. It's pretty decent. Definitely a nice solid medium throw, but I'm used to Bath and Body Works candles being a little bit more in terms of like the strength and throw. I mean, the norm for me typically with any Bath and Body Works is a strength or a throw of like a 7, an 8. Some have even been a 9. And when we get into like the mahogany teak wood, oh, I don't know why that candle is still around, but you know, that one there, like to me would probably be like a 10 out of 10. And it might just be mostly because I just find the fragrance so offensive. I don't know what it is about that scent, but I just don't care for it. But obviously people like it. They keep bringing it back. So overall, nice, solid, medium strength and throw. Performance is good. Nothing that would make me like dislike this candle in any kind of way. I do see some small black puffs going. There was just one. I'm sure some of you are going to comment on that. I'm waiting for the comments on this one. I do think that those little puffs make me a little nervous. I am just about at the halfway point with this one, and that's typically where a lot of Bath & Body Works candles tend to futz out on me, and I think this one, I see that going that way. So I don't think I will ultimately finish this one in like burning it, if you will. I will probably end up putting it into one of my candle crocks. That is not a waste for me. I know some people see crocking candles as a complete waste, but honestly, I can get a lot more life out of a candle that I crock than I do burning it a lot of times. I consider Bath & Body Works candles pretty fast burning candles in my book. I can get through a Bath & Body Works candle easily in like a week, sometimes less if I'm burning it, you know, morning and afternoon. I certainly don't have my candles going for like hours and hours on end, but I do have them lit in the morning sometimes. I will blow them out after a couple of hours and then relight them in the later afternoon or evening hours. Oops, sorry, that was my foot there. But yeah, this one here, I don't know. I just see the wicks kind of doing something funky. It does have the thicker wicks on it, which those typically tend to cause me problems. So I'm anticipating it and I'm okay with it to a certain extent. Would I love to actually burn this one the whole way through? Yeah, absolutely. Will I repurchase it? You know what? I think that I would probably actually repurchase this one. I have really liked the fragrance itself. And this is the type of fall fragrance this year that I'm really into. The fruits that are coming around for a lot of these fall fragrances are really like up my alley this year for some reason. You know, fragrance preferences obviously change over time, but yeah, this one is just, this and the Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, I just really have loved these a lot. Now, in terms of what it has in common with the Blackberry Bramble Tea, there are still a lot of people that say that there is no difference between the Blueberry Pumpkin Patch and the Blackberry Bramble Tea, but to my nose, I smell two different fruits. And there are some of you who have said that you also smell two different fruits. I smell a very distinct blueberry in the Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, and I smell a very distinct blackberry in the Blackberry Bramble Tea. Like, that to me is like, it's a very noticeable difference to my nose. Now, a lot of times I don't catch a lot of nuances. Like, I tend to be one of those people where I'm like, oh, it smells good, great, you know, good enough. I don't really necessarily need to know like all the ins and outs. If it smells good, then I'm happy with that. But this one here, I smell some distinct differences. Now, I smell the same blackberry note in this spiced blackberry cider that I smell in the Blackberry Bramble Tea. That's what they have in common. Now, there's also some similarities with the spice, but also there is a difference. This blackberry in the spiced blackberry cider is slightly more perfumey in a way, but it's still a blackberry note. The blackberry in the Blackberry Bramble Tea smells more like gourmand or fruity, I guess you could say, more edible or authentic, whereas this new one here is just slightly perfumey. It doesn't smell really edible or necessarily drinkable to me. It still smells delicious, but I could also see this being like a great like body care fragrance. Like, I would almost just wear this as like a body spray and would be super content with that during the fall months. But overall, I think that that's really like the similarities for me personally, is just they both have some spice notes and they share a true like blackberry note. But are they the same? No, they're not the same scent. So That being said, I'm really glad that people like put a bug in my ear about the spiced blackberry cider, because I like a lot. And I don't know that I would have necessarily picked it up otherwise. I think I probably would have, just because, you know, blackberry, that'll suck me in every time. But that being said, I really appreciate those of you who like keep an eye out for me and let me know about a lot of these releases, because like I said, there's only so much news that I can fit into my head, and like a lot of times the candle news, as much as I should be like in that like world and just totally involved in it, I don't think that's necessarily healthy for me all the time. So yeah, it's great when people point me in the direction of certain things. So please don't ever stop doing that. I love it. I love getting messages on Instagram of people saying you have to go try this. So if you have more recommendations for me, let me know. Right now I am only purchasing new fragrances that I have not released from, you know, like all of the companies, right? That includes Homeworx, that includes Kringle. Like I just really need to be picking up new scents so that, you know, I can review them. It doesn't make sense for me to re-review the same fragrances over and over again unless there is a drastic change or if something just went horribly wrong. So anyway, thank you guys for being here so much. I appreciate you so very much. If you are new, I would love it if you would take the time to subscribe. And again, thank you for being super supportive with all of your fun comments about the fall Kringle candles. Let me know if you have any questions, and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Check the description box down below for a link to this candle over at Bath & Body Works. You can read up other people's reviews over there, and it's getting some pretty good reviews. So I think it might be one that they decide to bring back, and I would definitely be on board for that myself. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.